Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. With this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the Radeon RX 550 4GB model in Man Remastered. This one is the Afox model of the card. I am running it with the latest AMD drivers as usual, Adrenaline Edition 22.8.2 at the time of recording this video. I am not overclocking it, and you can see all of its specs here in Tech Power-Ups GPU Z. Again, it has 4GB of GDDR5 and it's running in PCI Express 3.0 times 8. Over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 9 5900X and 32GB of RAM. Of course, these are extremely overkill specs for an RX 550, but it's what I have, and you will get exactly the same FPS if you pair it with like an i3 10100F or something like that. You don't need a beefy CPU to get the most out of the RX 550. Yes. Let's get into the game now, shall we? And first of all, let's go over the settings. I'm playing at 1080p resolution to start this off, but of course, we're also going to test it out with lower settings. No upscaling at the moment, and using the very low settings, the lowest settings in the game, basically. It doesn't look terrible by any means, okay, and it's getting 30 FPS, which is quite impressive, especially compared to... It blinked a little bit there, didn't it? Especially compared to the GT 1030. This is way better, guys. The 1030 was dropping to like 15 frames per second, I believe, and this is dropping to the lower 20s. Also, the 1030 that I tested was the 2GB model, but the 4GB is DDR4, so it's even worse than the 2GB GDDR5 version. Anyway, let's go up here now. I am liking this, actually. This is surprising. All right, looking at Central Park from above, yeah, it gets mid-20s, maybe with some FSR or IGTI, which is the built-in upscaler of the game. It could be playable even at 1080p. I don't know. The VRAM is certainly enough. It's not maxed out. It's at 3GB of VRAM usage. But I'm stuttering a little bit myself today, my friends. It's probably because I spent the last 3 hours trying to make a GTX 280 video that didn't work. Every time I installed the drivers, it would give me a black screen forever. Maybe I broke the card, but I doubt it because it worked once. But then I restarted to apply the drivers, you know, and it didn't work anymore. But anyways, I decided to make this one instead, and today I will be making another RX 550 video for you guys in Forza Horizon 5, because I kind of neglected this GPU for a while, you know. I forgot that I had it, honestly, and a lot of you don't really care about it, so I don't make a lot of videos on it. But anyway, I am glad I tried out Man Remastered here with the 550, because I am surprised. I'm very surprised that it actually runs, sort of. It's kind of running like Intel Xe graphics, I believe. That's a little bit too bad. You know, you should probably not play at native resolution, so let's drop it a little bit right now. I will use IGTI on quality first, built-in upscaler of the game. And wow. Okay, we're getting 40s. That is insane. We were dropping from 30, right? Around here. Ah, this is great. Okay, I'll start counting our FPS right now. Amazing stuff. Is it already playable just by using IGTI in this one? Also, IGTI is a little bit less intensive than FSR 2.0, so it's more adequate for these lower-end GPUs. I just noticed that a lot of you told me that. I haven't really tested it, honestly. But yeah, it makes sense because it works like FSR 1.0, and FSR 2.0 actually requires a little bit of GPU power to run properly. Even like the 1050 Ti in Red Dead Redemption 2 yesterday did struggle quite a bit with FSR 2.0. Didn't really see a lot of improvement, honestly. But look at this. This is so playable right now. And no, it's not because of the Ryzen 9, by the way. Ryzen 9 is being 10 to 15% utilized at the moment, so you only need a CPU that's as fast as 15% of a Ryzen 9 5900X, basically. Oh, what the hell is happening there? What is this? It's just reflections. Very poor quality reflections on the ground. Okay. Yeah, the game's not broken, alright. It's still not Spider-Bug, so dropping into the 30s, I guess you don't even need to drop resolution. This is crazy. What the hell? I just thought this was gonna be so bad. The game even asks for a GTX 950 as a minimum requirements GPU, and even on the 960 it kind of struggled a bit. Well, not really on very low settings, it was super playable on that card, but yeah, the 550 supposedly is like half the performance of a 950, maybe a little bit more than that, but the 1030, for example, is almost half of the performance of the GTX 950, and it was terrible. This one is surprisingly great. Even here, it's not dropping, guys. And even more surprising is the fact that... Okay, but Spidey, please. Is the fact that the AMD GPUs don't seem to be doing as well as NVIDIA ones, at least the recent stuff in this game. But here, it's the opposite. The 550 is just beating the crap out of the GT 1030 in this game. That's amazing. Wow, even looking at the entire Central Park area. It doesn't drop from 30, it dropped like 29 once, but that's it. These settings are very good for this GPU, okay? If you want to play this game, feel free to buy it, I guess, because it's gonna work pretty well if you have the 4GB variant of this card. 1080p resolution, quality FSR 2.0 is next. And let's see how it does. I'm noticing that VRAM usage... Oh, of course, it's lower than usual, because usually I test it on high, on very high. But alright. FSR 2.0 looks way better now than IGTI, but it is dropping quite a lot from 30 frames per second. It's getting very close performance, actually, to what we saw. No, it's considerably better than what we saw at native resolution. Up there, it seemed like it was going to be pretty much the same, but no. So you do get an improvement with FSR 2.0 around here, but it's not enough to put us above 30 frames, so... Yeah, I won't really recommend this. I will just restart the game, because sometimes you need to restart it to fully apply FSR 2.0, but I think it won't make a difference here with this card, because usually you only need to restart whenever the VRAM is maxed out, and yep, that is the case. As you can see, after a restart, it's getting pretty much the same performance, so we didn't really need to do that with a 4GB card at very low settings, at least. So yeah, I mean, it can still be playable. Again, even native resolution could still be playable for somebody used to 25 frames per second or so. But you got the option to play at 30 plus, and that's amazing, you know? It still looked quite decent using IGTI. It's just like the FSR 1.0 implementations in other games. I also want to check this out using like maximum sharpness. I just want to take a look at the image. It looks pretty damn good and detailed, but we all know that it drops from 30 FPS, so I will drop this to balanced now, and will you look at that? It's getting pretty much the same FPS, I think. Maybe swinging down here it will get a little bit more FPS, I don't know. 29, yeah, okay, that is the case. Using FSR 2.0 on balanced makes it a little bit better for sure. It's not dropping to the lower 20s anymore, far from it actually, so that is definitely an improvement. 25 right there. I think I would go for IGTI, guys, in this one. I think that's more adequate. Once again, these older and less good GPUs, I don't want to say bad, but they are pretty bad these days for gaming, at least for AAA stuff. They don't really run FSR 2.0 that well compared to the newer stuff, unfortunately. 1.0 is fine. As you saw, IGTI was completely fine, but 2.0 is a little bit too much. Although around here, it's not really dropping by too much. I don't know what looks better here. I think I would still choose the IGTI because it looked pretty decent. And there is a little bit of halo effects and stuff like that. Some noise around Spider-Man whenever you move. It's a little bit weird, you know, but yeah, can't deny this is pretty impressive still. Balanced FSR 2.0 works kind of well with the 550, although it still drops a little bit sometimes. Let's just turn off the upscaling now and turn down the resolution. Oh god, this is one of those games where I can't really test it at 900p for some reason. I'm sorry guys, 900p fans. your results will be somewhere between 720p and 1080p. I don't know why this happens sometimes. I guess the capture card doesn't really agree with the AMD cards at times, because I have never had this issue with an NVIDIA card. But anyway, 720p, we're getting pretty decent FPS here. Not gonna lie, this is really impressive. Wow. Right away, the difference in smoothness is insane. And without any anti-aliasing, there is a lot of shimmering in this game, even at native resolutions, but I can say that it looks better than if everything was smooth and soft, actually, not smooth. Smooth is what we want, of course, with higher FPS. Almost touching 60 there. I am stuttering a lot today. Damn. Okay. At least the game is not stuttering. Right? Alright, let's go in this direction now. Get to the Central Park area and see how much it will drop there. This is also a really good option, guys. If you have a smaller monitor that's not even 1080p, 720p might be the way to go at native res, because once again, it's super shimmery right now, but on a native 720p monitor, really small one, like 18 inches or so, it might look pretty decent. Almost there. Wow, getting 50s. When you get 50s, it's so much smoother. You can instantly tell just by moving the camera around. It feels like 60 FPS just because I got used to 20s and 30s in this video already. Anyway, around here, 40s, 30s. Okay, this is always above 30 frames per second at native 720p resolution. I almost always, because I saw it drop to 28 previously looking at the entire city. So I guess at 720p resolution I will go to that huge building to see like the worst case scenario. And remember that usually when dropping from that huge building over there, it's bandwidth limited, so you can't really do anything about it. You can actually get pretty good FPS down here, but then you get there and it drops tremendously. Alright, looking at the sky, getting 113 frames per second. That's the highest that we'll see today, I think. Maybe not. Actually, I will enable some FSR here at this res. Sometimes it actually looks pretty good at these low resolutions. Looking back at the city, 30 FPS. Damn, that's impressive, guys. But of course, while dropping, yep, it drops tremendously. 23, 24. Not bad, though. This is far from the worst thing that I've ever seen here in Spider-Man Remastered. I'm actually really surprised right now. Let's go ultra quality IGTI at 720p now. Shouldn't really differ all that much in this area because it's bandwidth limited, as I told you already. It looks really soft at this resolution, though. I probably wouldn't really choose these settings, honestly. Oh, look at that. 131 FPS was the maximum there. Looking back at the city, same thing, almost. A little bit better, actually. And remember, it dropped to like 23. Now it drops to 25. 24. It's the same thing. It's always going to be the same thing up there. Even at like 800 by 600, if you don't mind dropping the resolution that low, it's the same thing. I've shown you that with other GPUs already. But down here, we're getting pretty decent frames, slightly better than native resolution, I think. It dropped to like the low 30s and actually flat 30 frames per second looking at the city while jumping like this. Now it drops to 32. Just slightly better, I think. It's pretty good though, but it's really soft. So I wouldn't choose these settings unless, again, you have a native 720p monitor. I'm gonna go ahead and finally test it using FSR 2.0 on quality 720p resolution. That's gonna be the last setting. Wow, that looks incredible, actually. Holy crap, dude. That looks considerably better than even native 720p resolution, and it might still get us those 30 plus FPS all of the time. I mean, at native resolution we got that, so why wouldn't we get that with FSR 2.0? This is so impressive, guys. So impressive. I will still restart just to make sure that it applies properly. Let's go to the top of the building again, so you can see that it's pretty much the same thing. Actually, should we just move to the Central Park area, maybe? Oh, 29 right there. Oh, yes, the halo effect around Spider-Man is very noticeable once again at 720p resolution, but hey, I think I would actually choose to play like this, honestly, guys. Either at 1080p using IGTI on ultra quality, or at 720p using FSR 2.0 on quality and the sharpness on maximum. That's also very important, otherwise it will look like crap. Oh, things are blinking a lot at the distance. Look at that. Damn, that looks bad, but okay, that's normal. It happens with every single card that I tested so far using these upscaling technologies at lower settings. It dropped to the same values while dropping, and seeing the city from here, it's really intensive. But hey, you're gonna spend most of your time down here, and even if it drops here and there sometimes while you're like really high up in the sky, it doesn't really matter. It's just like it slows down time, for example, for you to enjoy the view and stuff like that. You shouldn't really consider it as an FPS drop. It's making it more enjoyable, okay? You know what's crazy? The GT 1030 used to be a little bit faster than this in some games. Maybe it still is in older DirectX 11 titles, but in these new DX12 games and Vulkan titles, like, it just gets wrecked. Even the 2GB model of the 550 is better, way better than the GT 1030 these days in newer titles. Another example of this is Dying Light 2, where the 1030 got like 10 FPS, where this got 25. That's more than double the performance, right? Crazy. And here is the same thing. The 1030 couldn't really get 30 FPS, I believe, even on average at 720p resolution. This one's getting 50. Crazy stuff, right? Around here, GPU intensive scenario, 33 right there. Not a problem, guys. This is very enjoyable indeed. Love it. I know this is probably not going to get a lot of views, but hope this was still informative to you, and I hope this video helped somebody out there. So thank you very much for watching it. If you are watching it, I'll catch you guys in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.